Let me start with that we started the presentation from self-esteem, and this is the continuation of that. So initially, the first presentation was self-esteem from psychology and Islamic perspective. That was we really talk about the difference in the concept, and since we follow not correctly the correct concept, then we have a difficulty in our self-esteem. So I went into detail from both the ways, from psychology as well as Islamic perspective. So at least you understand much better, so you can improve yourself. And that was my first presentation, then followed up by involving the nafs, qalb, and ruh concept, which is really important for your self-esteem, and you need to review that to improve that. So the second, third was the dynamic paradigm of self-esteem, and then fourth one was neuro paradigm of the self-esteem, soul, and self-esteem. So anyhow, so I went into minor detail from psychology and talking about nafs, qalb, and ruh. That is concept from the Quran, so you need to understand that. Why Allah knows your psychology so well, correct? We know not nothing less than 1%. But psychiatry and psychology teaches something, and with that, you can learn what Allah is trying to say, right? It makes sense. It's not just a faith, but it's more than a faith now because you can see the difference where it is. And that's a good thing about something that if you have scientific knowledge and it jives with the Islamic concept, and you always make Islamic concept as the golden rule, but anything you learn from it needs to be validated from Quran and Sirah, correct? And if that is the you feel like it's validating, then the way you're thinking is correct, and the stepwise you're going through it. Okay, so that was the first four presentation. All my presentation are 30 to 40 minutes, and then discussion is usually for an hour, but that's how it works. And then I went into the behavior insight and remedies on habits. And that's very important as we all have habits, and we went into that thing. So we talk about habits, how practically we can solve habits. And in that presentation, of course, question came out about procrastination versus consistency about prayers. You know, it's a part of a habit. And we talk about that in great detail about it. In the last presentation, people talk about um, uh, c- common sense versus consensus, Zamir versus Suj-Booj concept, right? So that was brought up, and I felt like it needs to be explored much in detail and to understand that concept from behavior science as well as from Islamic concept, correct? Or it is always good to know so you can correct yourself, right? So that's what we are doing it and presenting it, correct? So may Allah help me and may Allah forgive me if I have some shortcoming, and we'll go from there. Can you see my slide moving?
Yes.
Okay, good. So these are the question I raised last time. These are the questions should come to your mind. If there's no way it's not going to come to your mind, correct? Uh, so, oops. So, like these are hopefully you went through these questions. Like shayateen, the evil forces influence the common sense or consensus. You know, keep thinking in mind because we have the shayateen, correct? We are aware from Holy Quran that we have the influence of shayateen. So, where it affects the common sense or consensus, conscience. Okay, so that is very important to understand. So we will go into that detail, and then external whispering from the Kiran, which is a personal devil. Does it influence the nafs or the qalb? Need to know about it. The more you know about yourself, there's a good chance you will correct yourself. The more you don't know about yourself, there's less chance of correcting yourself, right? So these are important concepts you need to know about it. And then we go into the more other question, practical question is like engaging in unethical business practice for untraceable gain, which is a common sense or consensus. Or the next question is skipping prayer for crucial financial meeting, which is common sense or consensus, correct? Conscience. Discovering jewelry on the street at night and not returning, which is a common sin or conscience. And fasting during Ramzan is missed due to demanding work schedule, which is a common sense or conscience. So these are very simple, straightforward thought comes to our mind, and we need to address these. And if so, my goal of this presentation is to address this so you're aware of it, correct? So let's go to the definition, correct? We need to understand the definition, and then we will move forward. The more you have the definition, correct definition, then you build the whole story. Hopefully, you have listened to the previous presentation because it's based on previous presentation also. So what is common sense or सूझबूझ, correct? Common sense is awareness and understanding to act sensibly in daily life. This is the simple, straightforward definition. We know that, correct? And conscience is, which is we call zamir, means moral or ethical awareness of mind, correct? So now there's a word used moral and one is called ethical, correct? There is a difference between moral and ethical, and this need to be understood very well. Moral is morally is basically internally based, like your religion, your culture, correct? That's moral. Ethically is based on system, society, and all those things. So that's the difference. And this is part of your zamir. So you will see the people who are non-Muslims, you will question why the zamir does not rise, correct? Are they using ethically? Is zamir is part of it, or they're using morally, correct? So you need to know the definition here, correct? So Zamir has both of them, and how you use it is the most important thing. So when you use the paradigm of Zami, more things comes up. So I put the definition of all of these because it will be later on come in. So at least you know the definition. Like virtues in Islam, which is called akhlaq-e hasana, which is the principle of moral excellence aligned with divine principle of Allah, correct? This comes in the Zamir, correct? Taqwa, God mindfulness, protect from Allah's displeasure. It comes in the Zamir concept in a different way, correct? And then tazkiya nafs or tazkiya, purification, in a process of pure self-purification of mind. So these are the definition you need to know, correct? So, knowing these definition, we can go forward because we have to know the definition correctly. I put all the means each of them numerous time has been discussed in Holy Quran. I just gave one verses for each one of them, like for common sense, virtue in Islam, common sense, Surah Baqarah, ayat number 44. Even though you read your holy book, you have no sense. So that's example of using common sense. Virtue in Islam, akhlaq hasana, which is the most honor of you is in the sight of Allah, is the most righteous. Allah is all knowledgeable, all aware, correct? And then conscience, which is Zamir, is Surah Qalam 68 verses 4. And indeed, you are the great moral corrector, right? Taqwa, God mindfulness, Surah Al Imran, which is chapter 3, ayat number 1 or 2. O you who believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except as a Muslim. Right? So that is taqwa, example of taqwa. And purification with Surah Jummah, which is chapter 62, ayat number 2. He recite to them, his verses purify them and teaches them the book and wisdom, correct? So all this thing has been discussed in Holy Quran, correct? I'm just giving one example for each of them, correct? So, knowing that, you have to understand in both of them, when we are talking about Sood, Boj, or Zamir, you have the awareness and the thinking process, right? So, when we know that we have awareness and a thinking process, we need to know from this how our mind works, how our mind have awareness and thinking. This is a simple model just to make you understand how it works. So, at least you have idea. So on the right side, I put this is how your mind process works, and on the left side is if there's a anything deficit or anything mistakes are done, This comes on the left side. So this is just like a current, and you have to light a bulb. It has to be perfectly aligned to have a light bulb. So if you have any of these features, there's a problem over here. So first of all, you have to have knowledge. If you have knowledge, it will help you. But if you have information, that's not helpful. Information is anything, but knowledge is confirmed, reliable, correct? The Holy Quran is full of knowledge, correct? It cannot be disputed. So you need to have awareness and thinking from knowledge, not from information. If you have information, you start the process in a wrong direction. Your base is wrong, right? So when your common sense comes, or your zamir comes, it started at the wrong process. So you have to have a correct knowledge. When you have a knowledge, you have to have understanding process. You need to understand correctly. Just knowledge is not good enough to come to conclusion. You have to understand the process, and the lack of understanding is from rationalization. If you rationalize not completely, you're not getting all the information out of knowledge. So it's very important to rationalize completely from your understanding process, so that you have a complete understanding from the knowledge, correct? Then comes the application process. So then when you understand, you have to apply, right? And with the process, when you have to apply, if you didn't apply, you didn't do abstraction completely, correct? Uh, Abstraction completely. Somebody Thank you. Abstraction incompletely. So they didn't abstract things out from application process. So you have to abstract completely for the application. So it's very important. Once you have application done on your knowledge, you look at the result and you look at the data, and is your reasoning data analysis is correct or not. If your reasoning data analysis is not correct, you have fallacies. We talk about in IMS fallacies, correct? So your reasoning data, what was wrong in that, correct? And then you will look at the judgment data analysis from that result. If the judgment data analysis is wrong, you have biases, correct? So you correct that. And then finally, you have critical thinking. And in critical thinking, you look at cognitive dissonance. Do you have cognitive dissonance? So if you have cognitive dissonance, critical thinking goes wrong. So these are all the steps in awareness and thinking. If you rectify all of these and go this way, you have a good way of awareness and thinking. This is just simple method how your system will work efficiently. And it's a very simple way of making you understand this is how it should be done. So if you short circuit and from knowledge you go to critical thinking and don't do all this, you're not going to do correctly. You have to do all these process correctly to get the correct one, correct? So just making you aware how the system works, correct? These are the tracks in your brain, correct? Just pull out from a different article, but this was a great article showing the different tracks in your brain, correct? So you need to see these are the tracks. I will concentrate on this diagram, correct? These are different tracks of dopamine, serotonin, and how dopamine, different five pathways are there, and then different location of the brain they're connected. So I'm going to focus over here, correct? So at least you have understanding from neuroscience. You need to understand neuroscience completely, because that will help you a lot. Okay, so this is your brain, correct? The easy way to understand neuroscience, I'm not going to talk about individual track because then it will be very confusing for that, correct? So we can divide easy way in the different networks in the brain, correct? There are different networks, but these are three big networks we use in the brain. One is, first of all, you have Saline's network, correct? Which has autonomic thoughts, correct? So let me explain to you. You see things with your eyes, you hear some things from your eye. It goes to your thalamus, which is over here, which is the relay center. You receive information, then it's sent to different areas of the brain, analyze the information, thought process, correct it, goes back over here, and then it goes to over here, amygdala, nucleus accumbens, reward and punishment centers, and all those things, and it responds right away. And this is called Saline's network. has an autonomic thought. So it's a knee-jerk response. Your brain has this system, correct? So a lot of times you have autonomic thoughts, or right away when you see something, you respond right away. This is how you respond because the information comes, it goes over there, and it's sent to the brainstem to the different part of the body, and you respond right away, correct? So that is cellular network, correct? The other one is central executive network, which has alternate thought. This is your frontal lobe where central executive thoughts comes, correct? So this is also very important because it's also send information over here where you think and analyze the information. And it takes a little bit longer time to analyze and send back to over here. So that's why you have a delay response because it takes longer time. So this is called central executive network. It's called alternative thoughts, correct? So you have autonomic thoughts, alternate thoughts. We talked about in the previous presentation. There's another one which is called default mode network, correct? Default network is a deep thought. It goes into a deeper level of your thinking in the subconscious mind or unconscious mind. Think about it. It's significantly important. This brain sends all the information to different areas, try to analyze it. Okay, it takes longer time, it's a different mode and it works differently. Okay, in different areas in the subconscious and unconscious mind, correct? So you need to understand these are three different modes, easy way to understand. Zamir and Suj Pooch to analyze this is how the brain works. So what we get out of it? Correct? This is what you need to understand. In salient network, use common sense. And what is in common sense? Detect and decide mindset. So you see something, you decide and move on. It has a variable emotional state, practical reasoning, daily life analysis, reasonable judgment. This is how your common sense works. It is practical. It's just have to solve the problem as soon as possible and go move on because there are numerous things are happening, so it has to do it, correct? So this is common sense. When it goes to the frontal lobe, which is here, which is central executive network, which is alternate thoughts, you have you have actually critical sense, correct? So critical sense takes longer time, as I said, it's active but slow mind state. It has low emotional state, logical reasoning, complex analysis, and critical judgment. So it takes time to think about it, right? This is how you work and think about it. The same concept, but you spend more time to think and analyze it and send it back, correct? So that's one. And the third one is default mode network. Default mode network is a subconscious, unconscious mind. This is where your Zamir lies, where your conscience lies, correct? It's a resting mindset, low emotional state, is self and moral accountability, self-evaluation and moral accountability. And you can also have awareness of Allah because you awareness of your religion or if and awareness of Allah, correct? And intuitive reasoning, correct? This is the time you spend to yourself and the mind tells you back. This is the Zamir comes in. You question yourself. It needs time. That's why when you pray, you need to have your mindset that way, correct? If you're influenced with common sense and engage externally, you're not using your Zamir. You need to cut off from the world into yourself and Allah. And when you have a resting mindset, the Zamir will kick in. And the internal things, self internally, it comes up. Awareness of Allah, intuitive thinking. And that makes really different than a common mindset. So these are the three different modes your brain has it and we exactly know what it produces. Brain has a very efficient system. It has to use based on what is required. Millions of information right now is going through your brain right now because you're hearing, you're seeing, you're sitting, your ear, your quality, what you're learning, what you're analyzing. So a lot of information is coming to your mind. But brain has to do very quickly the decision making because if you sit on one information, it will not it will get Like it will not understand what to do about millions of other information coming. So it has to use a system, and it has made system. And we have to channel our system based on that. If we do that, it works based on that. So it's very important to understand where the system works and how the system works, correct? You can read about in the article in detail about that. I will go into this detail about this slide. This is a basic information you need to know. And if you don't know about it, you better should need to know about it. As a Muslim, you need to know that, correct? I will go through that. And I did discuss in the past, but this is another slide I made it. So your human being is a combination of soul and the body, correct? We already know that. Your body is in a three different stages. When the ruh is not there, it's called al-jasad. When the ruh enter, it becomes al-jism, and when the ruh leaves your body, it becomes al-badan. Correct? This is how Quran explain about your body. So see, the body has a lot of influence on your ruh. Okay, so what is ruh? Your soul and the spirit. Correct? That is what our ruh is. And so if you read Quran, it will talk about ruh, qalb, and nafs. You need to know about very well about these things because Allah tells you, and if you're not aware of it, and you know everything about the world, then what are you going to say to Allah? Correct? You're going to face Allah sooner or later. I don't know. I will face Allah any day. Correct? So you're going to face Allah, and everybody will face Allah. So Allah has given the everything in the Holy Quran. If you're 20 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old, and don't know the depth of this, you better wake up because because angel of death comes every day, correct, and picks lives. I don't know which day is mine, which day is yours. When it comes, you will not. And by the way, the moment your life is taken away, everything will be revealed to you, and everything will be revealed to you. So do you understand that procrastination is not going to help you? You need to understand who is your creator and has given you the book. And you have everything. You have hadith, correct? You have all the volume of hadith to follow that. And so you can read the hadith and you read Holy Quran and understand the meaning. So you don't have a reason that you didn't have time. You had enough time. So these are Ruh, Qalb, and Nafs. The concept which you need to understand is ilm and akal. A lot of people confuse it. It's different, and you need to understand. Ilm is just a knowledge, correct? Any knowledge is ilm. Rabbi zidni ilma. Allah asks you to increase your knowledge. Rabbi zidni ilma. And then we have akal. Akal is intellectual process, correct? So let me talk about ilm first. Ilm could be ilm nafi, which is a beneficial ilm, or ilm will be ilm ghair nafi, non-beneficial. We already know that. So ilm can be beneficial or non-beneficial, correct? If it's beneficial, and so let me come to akal. So Imam Ghazali described the akal, which is intellectual process, into akle nazri, which is knowing the truth, and akle al-ilmi, behaving wisely. So Imam Ghazali divided into two. Important to understand what is akal. Akal only comes when it's a blessing from Allah, right? It only comes when you have taken the shahada, correct? So you have the ilm, and if you have taken the shahada, Allah give you akal. That's the process, correct? When it gives the process, it goes from here to here, correct? And then it affects your qalb. Qalb is the main thing you need to work on, right? Quran talk about a lot about qalb, and this is when it works. Then when you use the ilm, akal and the ilm, it influences your qalb. And when you're using, Allah give you hidayat, and if you're using hidayat, Allah may give you hikmat, correct? It only comes when you're using akal and ilm, hidayat and hikmat, correct? On your qalb. And when it is happening, the nafs goes in the right direction. If you're using non-beneficial knowledge, there are a lot of non-Muslims who have so much knowledge, it affects the qalb, but they won't understand the Quran and the Sirah. Because this knowledge is there, but the akal is not there. They have knowledge, but they don't have intellect from the Islamic point. So this one goes over here without the akal. So its akal is very important with the ilm, and this comes when you do shahadat, and Allah will give you hidayat and hikmat, and it affects your nafs. This is very important. This is the factor of your life that influence your call, correct? So as the ruh influence your call, correct? So these are the important factors you need to understand, which is running in you, all of us, correct? So at least you have a fair idea. This is a flow chart I went through last time, correct? And you need to understand where things are. Now, we have the ruh, we have the qalb, we have the nafs, correct? We have three different type of nafs. Nafs amara, nafs lawama, nafs al-mutmainna, correct? So we have three different type of qalb. Qalb mayyat, qalb murida, and qalb salim, correct? We have the nafs, we have the qalb. So the question comes, where is your zamir? Correct? Where is your zamir? Now I have explained to you. If you read Tafhimul Quran by Maulana Maududi, he mentions zamir is nafse lawwama. Correct? According to him. But then there are other people who say that zamir is the combination of nafse lawwama and kalbe murida. Both of them are part of your zamir. So it varies. Some people say it's just the nafs lawama. Some people say it's the nafs lawama as well as qalbi murida. Correct? That is the inner portion that decides you to go where. Correct? Deeper thought of mind. Correct? And makes a difference what it have to do. Correct? So what is your nafs? Or common senses, correct? Common sense only comes in your nafs. So this is your common sense, but Zamir is much over here. Okay. The thing which is very important is they are all connected. So your akal is connected, your hidayat and hikmat is connected, and your reward and punishment is connected, correct? So on the right side is we are talking about people who are Muslim. These are people who don't follow the Islamic concept, correct? So they may have different faith, but they may have ego conflicts. Their knowledge is not evil or could be good, but they don't accept the Islamic faith, correct? And they may have biases, fallacies, and cognitive dissonance. So most likely what happened is that when it affects the qalb, the nafs goes to nafs ammara, correct? But a Muslim or the Mu'min, what happened is their akal, with the help of knowledge, helps them and guide them with when they get hikmat and hidayat. It helps the qalb, which is qalb murida to qalb salim, correct? And the nafs, it helps the nafs also because then the nafs goes to nafs mutmainna, correct? So this is very important to understand, and they don't have biases, fallacies, and cognitive dissonance, correct? They remove the biases, fallacies, and cognitive dissonance. It's very important to understand that. So the question comes is where is your uh, tazkiyah and taqwa, correct? We talk about tazkiyah and taqwa, correct? So where is tazkiyah, correct? Let's look at the definition and then you will understand what is tazkiyah. Let's talk first about taqwa. This is taqwa. This is the Quranic taqwa. Protect from Allah's displeasure, right? So taqwa comes where in this flowchart? Taqwa comes from here. So Allah's displeasure means Allah's punishment. You want reward and punishment. So when you worry about reward, worry about the punishment and go to reward phenomena, your akal goes in that direction, and ilm goes in that direction. Correct? And that guides your qalb to go to nafs mutmainna. Correct? It's very important to understand this is where your taqwa works. Now, question comes, where is tazkiyah in nafs or tazkiyah? Tazkiyah comes over here. This is where your tazkiyah is comes, correct? So if you have tazkiyah, what will happen? You correct your nerves to go and think about it, which is tazkiyah al-lawama, and go towards al-mutmainna. Once the nafs is in this direction, it will help the qalb from qalbi murida to qalbi salim. You want your qalb to go to qalbi salim, correct? And that is where your zamir will be very contented, correct? And it will guide your common sense also in that direction, because you want the qalb to qalbi salim and your nafs to nafs mutmainna, right? So these are very important things to understand. So in common sense or sujbuj, awareness with practical reasoning about reality, it's observation and experience, and it's a survival mode, correct? It's a common sense. So Muslim and non-Muslim use common sense and go from there. Conscience or zamir is the internal awareness of good and evil intention. It has a moral or ethical intention, inner peace outcome, right? So that is your zamir. Now, going higher values with akhlaq hasana is a moral excellence aligned with the Islamic principle in Islamic jurisprudence with fiqh. So virtues in Islam or akhlaq hasana is the highest form of zamir. So do you understand why akhlaq hasana is part of a zamir? It's a much higher value. Now, taqwa, we talk about it, and Allah talk a lot about taqwa, is shielding from displeasure from Allah by avoiding sin and doing what is pleases Him. That is significantly important. So when you have iman, it will help your taqwa. It makes iman and taqwa go. And this taqwa will do ikhlaq hasana. That will help you tazkiyah nafs, and you get falah or the reward, correct? So this is how the sequence goes, and that is very important to understand the sequence of it, correct? And tazkiyah nafs is a purification from, from away from evil and doing good thing, and that will lead to akhlaq hasana. So do you understand why it's so important to get this concept right? Because Allah talk about it, but it's all here in this. So we need to understand where it's located so we can capture it and we can correct it. Because if you don't know where it's located, you relying on, you just give it bas Allah kar lega and that's it. No, you need to work on it, right? You need to work which is your shortcoming in your process. Once you understand your shortcoming in process, that nafs where means common sense works in the nafs portion, zamir works in these two portions, uh, Tazkiyah works over here and taqwa works over here, and how can this taqwa can help your akal, and akal and ilm will affect your qalb. And keep in mind, qalb is ego or your mind, correct? So you have to understand that. And of course, the ruh will help the qalb to do correctly, correct? Because this is given it. So Allah has given all the blueprint of correct thing in your ruh form. But then you have this, your zamir there, correct? And your common sense there. So use your common sense in zamir, correct? If you're a Muslim, you will use the common sense correctly, and you use your zamir from your Islamic faith and go from there. So that's very important to understand. Where are we getting the information and how do I fix it? So hopefully I make you understand this concept. If anybody has any question, please, I'm open to answer the question.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakallah
Walaikum
for the
salam.
presentation. I have a question related to nerves, as you're told that, and it's mentioned on the slide that there are three types of nerves. So my question is, do they exist simultaneously, or they interchange one to another, or like everyone have at the same time three kinds of nerves like amara, lavama, and mutmaina, or is it transition phase in between them? So can you please elaborate on that?
Okay. Okay, that's good. That's a good question. So you have nafs, okay? This is one thing. But we have the level of functioning. So this is functioning. If the nafs is doing good, it's called nafs mutmainna. If the nafs is in between good and evil, we call it nafs al-lawwama. where your conscience or self object is, correct? And if your nafs is doing bad, it's called nafse amara. So do you get it? You have, like, for instance, you can do good thing or bad thing, but it's you. So nafs
Yeah,
has a
exactly.
function, and
Yeah,
whichever function you do, it's based on that's being named. Does it answer your question?
yeah, exactly. This is my question that, for example, if a person is doing right thing and wrong thing in the same day, so
Hmm.
it means that he's having three of the kinds of nerves at the
No,
same
he's
time.
sitting here. He's sitting here.
So, so do you mean that a person with nafs mutmainna, he can't do bad? That's what you're saying.
Nafse mutmainna means he's most likely doing all of the thing right. The higher, like you have muttaqeen and you have moments, correct? There are higher levels of Islamic, people who following the religion, correct? So same thing here is on the whole, they are doing most of them right. And if they do wrong, this will correct them.
Yeah, it kind of gives the sense that mutmainna will do everything right and lawama will do
Most of
everything.
them are complete, means nobody is flawless,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, that's what I was thinking. That
So
don't you think everyone comes in the central category, like let's say Lawama?
yes, as long as you're Muslim and following the rules and applying the rules. It's following, and because people read the Quran, but they have no clue what they're reading. And Allah answered that question. In Bani Israel, Allah was talking to Bani Israel that I have given you Torah, but you don't follow it. You're just like a donkey carrying the book on the back, not knowing what you're doing. Correct?
Exactly, exactly.
So when Allah is already telling to Bani Israel that you just read the Torah and don't follow, you're a donkey. Right? Actually, it's telling to us too. Because Bani Israel, after Bani Israel, who got the next one is the Muslims.
Yeah.
So you can be donkey in your lifetime. Allah is telling you right up,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if
Yeah.
you're not following, you're going here. If you're
Okay.
in between state, you're in lawama. It's a better side than a nafs ammara because you are really in bad. This will try to work over here because it's thinking, correct? Provided
Mm-hmm.
you're using the knowledge as well as akal, correct? And you don't
Mm-hmm.
have ego conflict, correct? Which is, you're using alternate thought, the
Yeah.
frontal lobe, no biases, fallacy, cognitive dissonance. Plus, you're using the reward and punishment, correct? If you're
Yeah.
using taqwa, this will help you to go in this direction, correct?
Thank you. Thank you. And last part is, where do you place our animal brain in this diagram?
Oh
Like
my
that
gosh.
we function with it, just like other animals. Instinct, where do you place it?
Instinct, is a okay. Instinct is
Like
basically
fitrat, we
sitting
can say
as a
fitrat.
nafs, but you are not using any other thing as far as religion is concerned, correct? Instinct is किसी ने थप्पड़ मारा आपने भी मार दिया,
No,
correct?
no, no, fitrat. I mean to say fitrat. You
Oh,
know,
fitrat, will you fitrat in you? I will use the Zamir concept, correct? Means now fitrat, okay, so it can change based on where you're raised, correct? So if you're somebody is raised in non-Muslim, they learn a lot of non-Muslim concept, correct? They already have been given the rule, correct, by Allah, but they have learned all the other thing, correct? Their
mhm.
religion. So now there's a conflict. Their fitr will change based on what they learn, correct? But Allah has given the blueprint of right, and they have to use their knowledge and akal to figure out. That's Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. Do you remember the incident? What
Yeah,
happened
exactly.
with the idol, the biggest idol when fall, and when they asked, well, how it fall? Then you ask the biggest idol how it fall. Why you asking me, right? He throw
Yeah.
back on Hazrat Ibrahim throw back on the people. That why you asking me if this is the big God of yours? So he's
Mm-hmm.
throwing back on him that what is this? So you depends on what religion you're following, right? Alhamdulillah,
Mm-hmm.
we are following the Islamic concept, but it comes with higher expectation from Allah. This is a blessing you are given. I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
you, it's a blessing given that you're Muslim, correct? And
So
we still don't use it.
yeah, from the details given by you, we can say that kids have nafs mutmainna.
Kids at what age?
Before that they can commit sin.
Okay. They are not accountable, correct?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's why I'm saying they have nafs mutmainna. Yeah.
Yeah, but they are not account. Allah will not account them because Allah has not given them what is right and wrong, correct? They
Mm-hmm.
are not aware of it. So if somebody is not, like somebody has mental health disorder, correct?
Yeah.
In fact, I missed that slide too. Thanks for reminding me.
No. I yeah.
This one you were talking about. This is another issue came up, and I just want to bring up. So we have mental health diseases, and we have this thing, spiritual illness, correct?
Mm-hmm.
We have mental illness as well as spiritual illness. So both of them produce behavior manifestation, correct? Mental illness produce behavior manifestation like anxiety, mood disorder, psychosis, and all those. So spiritual illness does that, correct?
Yeah.
So a lot of people say everything is spiritual illness. There's no mental illness. They don't realize it that mental illness causes changes in the brain and other factor. That's the first thing happen. That leads to belief and thinking mindset. Correct? You
Mm-hmm.
have a brain changes, another factor lead to thinking changes, correct? Leading to behavior manifestation. People with spiritual illness causes belief and thinking mindset change first. That leads to changes in the brain, another factor, correct? So
Mm-hmm.
same thing, what comes first? That is very important. So in psychiatry, what we do, and this is a general concept, is for anything which is mental illness, we do counseling, psychotherapy, medication, neuromodulation therapy, and other, correct? Because we are hitting what hit first, correct? As
Mm-hmm.
well as we do repentance, remembrance by zikr, prayers, taqwa, tazkiyah, and other. That is also, but we also do this because we are hitting this is the first thing, correct? If you have a
Mm-hmm.
spiritual illness, which leads first to belief and thinking process, you need to do this first, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the one that started the process. And if causes changes, do this. So do you understand what came first, correct? Whichever
Yeah.
comes first, you hit that thing because that is the base of the thing going in a wrong direction. And that is the problem we have, that a lot of people just believe in spiritual illness and they disregard mental illness and not realizing mental illness is just like any other disease, like physical disease, correct? So this is where the problem comes, and you need to understand what is mental illness, what is spiritual illness. Calling somebody spiritual illness, you have to rule out somebody has mental illness or not. Correct? That will be
Yeah, exactly.
totally wrong. So I just want thanks for bringing it up because I
No
forgot to
problem.
put this thing. So does it make sense to you?
Yeah, there is a minor difference that some people say that everything is psychological or everything is related to medical, physical world, and there is a huge number of people who say that everything is like uh, he has evil eye, he has been done with the magic or everything. They uh, go in the spiritual realm. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
there
you
are
have to
people.
come in the middle, correct?
Yeah, yeah, I
If
understand.
it's mental illness, you know, 200 years ago, psychosis was always considered magic.
Yeah, yeah, understand that.
Correct?
So,
Now look at
so
the
from
psychiatry hospital over here. We treat them right up, and there's magic. So you're going to treat magic with ECT, and the magic will disappear? They will say
yeah, I
no.
got it. I got it.
So you need to
So,
understand this concept.
yeah, yeah. So, in brief, I can what I have learned is that nafs mutmainna is the nafs when good and bad is presented to it and it chooses good, then it's nafs mutmainna.
Repeat again.
If good and bad there are two options presented to a person and he chooses the good option, then he has a nafs mutmainna.
chooses and follow it.
Exactly. Yeah.
He has to follow
So,
it. People
yeah,
say, okay, I have to read Quran, but they
yeah, yeah.
don't follow it.
Now,
Correct?
by choosing, I meant that he goes that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much. I have another question, and I'll give.
Somebody else.
Uh,
Thank you very
yeah,
much.
yeah, yeah. Maybe I can have the next turn. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.
Walaikum salam.
Sir, I have a question. You just explained really well about the Zamir concept, and accidentally I was already learning about it. You said La Kalbe Murida and Nafse Lawama is Zamir, right? And you related this concept with the common sense. So, can you please elaborate again, for my understanding, how common sense and Zamir is connected together?
To the other means other is what?
I didn't said anything other.
How they're connected means common sense is connected to Zamir.
Common sense. You said
Yeah.
common sense is Zamir is connected, right?
Zamir is nafse lawama and kalbe murida or kalbe salim. That's Zamir, correct? That's your Zamir. And common sense
Uh,
is just nafse lawama. It's like a knee-jerk reaction, on the spot reaction, correct? This is common sense. But Zamir is more higher. It's connected to your qalb, which is the mind, going to kalbe murida or kalbe salim, as well as the nafs, which is called nafse lawama, or, that's what I was saying. That. Does it make sense to you? This is how it's explained over here. Common sense is just detecting and deciding the mindset, correct? It's a very emotional state, practical reasoning, daily life analysis, and reasoning judgment. Zamir or conscience is resting mind state. It's a different module, a default mode network uses, which has low emotional state, is self uh, induction and self-realization with moral accountability, awareness of Allah, and intuitive reasoning. So Zamir goes in a deeper sense, correct? Common sense is just knee-jerk reaction. What is good, just do it, correct? And that's what Zamir is.
Marine Tahir, please unmute.
Yes, Assalamualaikum everyone.
Walaikum salam.
Sir, my question is a little bit out of the conversation, and I want to add and integrate this thing with the accountability. The way of accountability means in the previous question answer session with another sir, we were discussing that in psychology we do therapies if there are any kind of psychological disorder. But if someone has this kind of disorders and he or she has not chance to have therapies or the recovery methods and opportunities like this, on what basis will be the accountability? Because behind every behavior there is reason, whether that is society or background or anything, any reason there can be.
Okay.
How you will integrate that all these things will be on one side and accountability will be on other.
Okay, that's a good question, and I'm glad you
I
asked
hope.
this question. Okay, so Allah knows what you're thinking, correct? If some like just like a child, correct? Child does not have what is good and bad, correct? If the child does anything wrong, it will not get sin, correct? So as you are adult, if you don't know what you're doing, but you are not aware of it and you don't have the capacity, correct? You have the capacity, you don't have a capacity, you don't know what you're doing, and you did something wrong, correct? So you're not accountable for that. You're only accountable when you know it, you're given the chance, you have the time, you decided not to do it, you decided not to learn about it, and sit and do nothing and then blame that, hey, it bad thing happened. It's not going to help you, correct? Allah gave you time and all the opportunity to learn, correct? Giving you everything. And in spite of that, you don't utilize it, correct? And then blame that I didn't know about it. That's not good enough. You're accountable, correct? So does it answer your question?
First of all, thank you so much, sir, for providing this beautiful information. My question is that, sir, as you explaining the difference between Zamir and the common sense, so can you tell me the example which is actually differentiates both of these things, Zamir and common sense?
As I said, common sense, basically, let me open up. This will help you. Awareness of practical reasoning about reality. It's just a common sense, correct? Observation and experience, survival. So basically, it's a survival outcome. You're driving and something comes up, you looking for your survival outcome, correct? And what
Yes,
can I do? It's a common sense, correct? You use common
yes,
sense, correct? Zamir is totally different. It goes in a deeper mode of mind, correct? Zamir goes into your moral intention. You know, you think about it, you analyze it, what Allah has told you, what is your duty, correct? What is
yes,
your duty at that time, correct? It's not uh, what you like to do. What is your real thing to do? You know, if the money is kept on the street, common sense sometimes realize nobody's going to take it. Will is there. Let's pick it up. Correct. That's common sense using. Correct. Without any religion. Correct. When the zamir comes, it will question. It belongs to somebody. They may be requiring that thing. May I help them? Correct? So Zamir comes in and give you moral, ethical values. Correct? It's the moral value,
yes,
not the ethical value. Correct? Ethical is totally different. Ethical is more based on the system and externally based. Moral is mostly internally based on your religion, like the dress code. Correct? In France, the
yes,
issues is coming in a dress code, which is what? It is ethical issue. Correct? It's not a moral issue, it's ethical because of France has their own system, correct? And you have to understand they have their own system, they want to do what they want to do, correct? What is moral is your religion base, correct? So that is the
yes.
difference. Does it answer your question?
Sir, I have also one question, which is, can we say that that non-Muslim does not have a zamir?
They do have a zamir, but they are not enlightened by that. Allah has given the zamir to everybody. So non-Muslim cannot say, you didn't tell me. So you have the Holy. I'll give you a simple example. To forget about Muslim. Muslims have zamir,
Mhm.
correct? Yes
Yes,
or
sir.
no? But how much they
Yes.
follow the Holy Quran?
Mhm.
That a
True, sir.
slap on us. Means
Mhm.
you accepted it, but your zamir was dead. And Allah answered this question in Bani Israel, to the Bani Israel. You followed the Torah and you never followed it. You're like a donkey carrying the book on the back, right? So we exactly know what Allah thinks about us, right? So we
Yes.
ourselves, Zamir is dead. The non-Muslims, let's put it that way, Allah has given the Zamir, but they are not using it, correct? They're trying to use something else, and Allah will be make them accountable, right? They will be
Yes.
accountable, but let's work on ourselves. Our Zamir is very strange. Like I am working on my Zamir. You should work on your Zamir, correct? Let's work on that.
Yes.
Does it answer your question?
Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome.
Aisha Akbar, please unmute.
My first question is what is Kalbe Mayyat, Kalbe Murida, and Kalbe Salim? And if our Zamir is related to brain or our heart, and how non-Muslim don't have akal, how they just have knowledge but don't have akal.
Okay, okay. So these are the questions a lot of people have, and you need to understand. Okay, you're reading from the Holy Quran, and Allah talk about qalb, correct? When the qalb concept comes, you have to understand the meaning from what Allah says, not what the translator said that. Allah used the word qalb. You need to understand what is qalb, correct? not what the translator translates the meaning. Because the Quran in Arabic and the Quran translation of Arabic is not the same thing. Correct? You need to understand that part. Translation is not exactly what Quran is. They are trying to understand Quran and translating it to the best of their ability. But there are some terminology you need to understand exactly what Allah is saying. So that is what I said in the previous presentation. The exact meaning of the qalb, we need to go to Al-Fusa. That's a classical Arabic. Quran came in classical Arabic. Quran never came in modern Arabic, correct? Modern Arabic meaning of the qalb is different than classical Arabic is. So first we have to go to classical Arabic where the Quran came in, correct? And then find the exact meaning. And if you find the exact meaning of the qalb exactly means something in the center, something that understand or something that moves. That is what Allah is saying to you. Now, somebody who's translating it paraphrase as heart because they understood as heart, we took it as a heart, right? That is the problem. You should translate what Allah is saying, not you should translate what you think. If I translate Quran what I think is, then it's not a Quran, correct? But I'm doing the best I can, correct? So we need to understand in Quran when it's being translated, it should be from the classical Arabic. And what is classical Arabic? So if you go into detail about all the three meaning, like that understand. To understand, you have to have a memory system, correct? And if you look into and do all the research and everything anywhere, the memory system is in your brain, correct? Most of the memory system is in the brain. Your critical thinking is the brain. Your behavior is the brain and everything, correct? So saying it's in the heart does not make sense. Something in the center. Yes, we call brain as a center because we call anybody who passed away or died if they're brain dead, not heart dead. So brain is the center, not the heart is the center. Something that moves, yes, when there is a transmission of the neurons, the synaptic transmission, there is some movement in the brain and the neurons. So there is a movement. So all three meaning goes back to the mind and the brain, not to the heart. So we need to understand this concept. Since somebody has translated into heart, we think in that direction. Because if somebody has a memory problem, they're not going to go to cardiologists to get a medication for memory, correct? So you need to understand that we practically don't do that, but we assume exactly what we think from somebody. So we need to think what Allah is saying rather than follow what Allah somebody has translated. Does it answer your question?
I think she's unmuted as well. Uh, Abdullah, you can unmute, please.
Assalamu alaikum again.
Walaikum salam.
My first question is related to Ruh. Where do you place Ruh in our body specifically? Like in Sadr, in whole body, where do you place it?
And this answer is given by Allah, correct?
Where is it?
It's given by Allah in Holy Quran, correct? Allah already mentioned, I have given limited knowledge about Ruh. So when
Uh,
Allah has already told you, don't go minor
no.
in detail.
Uh, my question is based on the issue that some people consider life and Ruh as the same thing. But I
Uh,
know that's different because Allah says when you sleep, I collect your Ruh.
okay,
But
so
still we are living.
okay, let me answer that question. And this is where the answer is. When the ruh is not present, it's called al-jasad. You know, when you're in the mother's belly and the ruh is not implanted in you, you're al-jasad. When the ruh is implanted after 3 months, you become al-jism, correct? It's in your body, but it's in and the roux stays there. And when the roux is taken out completely, the word is completely. It's called al badan, correct? So a dead body is called al badan, which has no roux, correct? So roux is the difference between live and dead, correct? If the body has the ruh, then they are alive. The ruh leaves, the body dies. Now the question is in the sleep, what happens in the sleep? So in the sleep, the ruh is taken out, but not completely. Ruh is Ruh is not completely taken out. So you are like that because the ruh is out, but not completely. If the
What's
ruh
the
comes,
what's the proof for that? Sorry to interrupt. What's the proof for that row is not completely taken out? Where do
because
you
if
get it?
ruh is taken out, you are dead, completely dead.
Uh, I have an ayah on which verse I am saying is that Allah says, Allazi halakal mauta wal hayata. Allah has created death and life. There are two creations of life. Death and life are two separate creations. So
Okay.
if Ruh is the reason of our life, then
Uh-huh.
what is life? Life is a creation that, as death is a creation, as there is a hadith narrated that when heavenly people are in heaven and hell people are in hell, they'll brought the death and it will be sacrificed in front of them that now
Okay.
on no one will die. Yeah.
Yes.
So likewise, there is Allah's creation life. So what I believe is that Ruh is totally separate. Ruh is Izne Rabbi. It's not life. It's Izne Rabbi. Because there is another argument that when Adam alayhi salam was created, Allah said, when I nafaktu fihi ruh, when I put my ruh into him, then bow down to him. But before that, Adam was there.
Yes.
Uh, you're getting my point?
Yeah. It
And
was
about
in.
the just sorry, and one other thing, you said jasad is with ruh and badan is without ruh. But what I know is that jasad is just body without ruh.
No, when the jasad
Just
is
like in Sulaiman alayhi salam's story, when there is the word jasad, he found jasad on the throne.
jasad is without the ruh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I explained. Jasad is without the ruh. Al Jism is when the ruh is placed into you. So that is after 3 months, after conceiving, 3 months, the ruh is in place in the
No,
fetus, and that is
here
become
comes my
Jism.
point. Here comes one point. Then before, yeah, after the third month, after the third month, angels bring the ruh in the baby. Yeah, but before 3 months, baby is still alive.
Yes,
It's yeah, it's not to be asked. It's not to be answerable to Allah, but it's still alive. But
yes.
if ruh is the reason for us being alive, then why is the baby alive for 3 months? Then it shouldn't be then. According to your logic, then he shouldn't be alive for 3 months.
No,
He should only be alive when Ruh comes to him.
so alive. So is virus alive?
Sorry?
Other thing beside ruh, human body has ruh, correct?
Uh, yes,
Correct?
when we
Human
are in
body has
this,
ruh. But there
yeah,
are
when
other
we are
creations.
being tested, then yes, yeah,
Yeah. So there are other creation who does not have ruh, correct? Do you
yeah,
agree or
exactly.
disagree on that?
Other than human, no one has Ruh.
Okay. So why they're alive?
They have life.
So
Allazi
that
halakal mauta wal hayata. Yeah.
exactly. So the point of saying is when the ruh is placed in, there has to be something. Then you put the ruh, correct?
Sorry,
So
can you
then,
repeat it?
so there is a body and a soul. So there is a body, then you put the ruh in it, correct? When you put the
What?
ruh in it, then it's become the human, correct?
No,
Complete human.
sorry, I'll little bit explain my point is that in all the other living things, there is life. We call it John and Jism. Yeah. In human beings, there is John and Jism, Kareen, and Ruh.
Okay.
We can separate the Kareen out of it, but
What is
John,
Kareem?
Kareen is the partner that Allah is the default shaitan with us.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, we can separate it out, but it's in our core, it's in our software. We can't separate it. As you know that Prophet peace be upon him also had Kareen with him,
Correct. Every
as he
soul
told us.
has it.
Yeah,
Every
every
soul
soul,
has it.
Whoever
Yes.
is being tested as a human, he have the crane with him.
Yes, and they are the one who guide you to wrong direction, correct? And they will,
Exactly.
and it will help the nuts to go in a wrong direction. And it
Yeah, but
when you do
yeah,
too
but the
much,
point
then the
was,
curve you get. Uh-huh.
yeah, but the point about creation was that what I believe is that human is the combination of Jan, Jism, Ruh.
What
But
is
most
Jan?
people say that only Jism and Ruh. That's here I have a disagreement.
Okay, what is Jan?
Jan, as I said, Allah says in the ayah, Allazi halakal mauta wal hayata liyabluwahum ayyuhum ahsanu amala. We have
Okay.
created life and death
Uh-huh.
so that we check, so that we test you who will do right and wrong.
Okay. I will go into life and death is also there in, when you have the Ru, you become alive, but you are in a different state of a different state, when the body is in the mother, it's totally growing up, correct? Then it
And
comes
again,
out and all those things.
yeah, and sorry, and again, when Allah says we are sleeping, we collect your ruh. You said there is like there remains some part of ruh in our body.
Yes.
Do you have any proof for that? Where are you getting this from?
Uh, okay. So in neurology, if you go through the system, correct? You people do sleepwalking, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And let me
Okay,
add a
let me
point.
complete my thought.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of people are acting, correct? If you're completely dead and Ru is taken out, you're not going to move. You're pronounced dead. That means their brain is dead, correct? While you're walking, doing things, people even drive and all those things, you are alive. Correct?
Uh,
While sleep, you're alive because you're walking, your heart is beating, all those things. In fact, in your brain is more active when you're sleeping.
Yeah,
The
that's the issue.
memories.
That's the issue that
So
animals
you know,
also have hearts and they are beating as well, but they don't have roof. My point, I have explanation for sleepwalking is that when we are asleep, our ruh is being collected by Allah, and our John is in our body just like all the other animals, and that's the reason that if someone sleepwalking kills someone, Islamically legal Islamic law does not apply to a sleeping man.
I agree
Why?
with it because they are
Then
not awareness.
yeah, they don't have roux in them. They are because test is on the
Okay.
roux.
Okay. So we are looking into minor detail in my view, but I will go into it. But the roux is there in a very minor form. They are not dead, in my view, correct? Because their heart is beating and all those things. If the roux is left, then they will not beat, heart will not beat, the brain will be dead, and all those things. So roux is it has
Yeah,
to be present when they are alive, correct?
yeah.
So it's a
Here we
metaphor
agree
used.
to disagree. And my last point about this question is that what I have came to know is that the center point, specifically where roux resides in our body, is our sadr, like the up in the rib cage. That's why the prayers of the prophets are Rabbi Shrah li Sadri, like open my heart, open my sadr. Sadr means where all like inside the rib cage, and that's the only part that can't be replaced in our body. And as you know, as a neurologist, there will come a time when brain transplant will be possible. Science is going towards that. So coming to second question, as you said, by kalb, actually Allah meant brain. So there is a hadith narrated that Prophet ﷺ said, very famous hadith, that there is a part in your body, if it's correct, then everything is correct. And Sahaba said different things, but Prophet ﷺ replied that it's heart that's in your breast. Specifically, he pointed towards that. So how can you argue about that?
I read that hadith. Would you know the sanad of that hadith?
Yeah, that's that's where the issue
There
is.
are a lot of
But
hadiths where you have to go through sanad, correct? The content as well as who did it. The content is it jive with the Quran? This is, and then and the sanad, correct? So a lot of time the sanad is there, but the content goes against the Quran then there's a controversy comes, correct? So you need to have both of them right, correct? So I
And
like to
and
know those.
sorry, last point. Sorry to interrupt again. That all the prophets' prayers also align with this concept about the qalb, like it being in the breast, like Rabbi Shrah li Sadri. He should
Sadri
have
ka
done
matlab,
that if
what's
he,
the meaning of sadri?
Sadr is the breast part of our body, like
That
inside the
is
rib
what
cage.
you're reading from somebody, correct?
No.
Al-Fussa, if
It's from Arabic.
which
It's from
Arabic?
Arabic. It's from Arabic. Like I have searched about it. It's not the
Okay, so
translation.
go and search from Al-Fussa, the classical Arabic.
Can you please spell it? Uh,
Al-Fussa, which is the classical Arabic, where the Quran came. Sadr means something in the center.
mhm. Okay. Thank you so much. I already took
Okay.
so much time.
No,
Thank you
that's
so
okay.
much. Zakir.
Uh, okay, please everybody, kindly share the feedback. I'm sharing the feedback form in the chat, and please, Marine Tahira, please unmute.
My question was on the way and I was muted. My question is again from the discussion that the presenter says the non-Muslims are out of mind, they have no akal and this kind of thing. But Sigmund Freud has given the theory in psychology about superego, identity, and ego, and that is about the things which we have discussed in this presentation, curves, nerves, and uh, nafs mutmainna, etc. How these things will be integrated with that psychological theory.
So what's the
I would
question?
like to. The question is, you said that the non-Muslims are out of mind; they have no akal, but they will be accountable at the day of judgment. And in my first question, you said that if we don't know the right, we will not be the accountable for the wrongs which we commit. So
Okay. So
I
let me
am out of
answer.
sense that how.
Okay, got it. So non-Muslims are given all the evidence what is right and what is wrong, correct? But they don't want to do it, correct? Means they are living in this world. They have the access of everything, the Holy Quran, the Bible, and everything, correct? And all those things. So they have access, correct? And they decided not to follow it, correct? And then on the day when angel of death will come and onward, they will be questioned. And they say, I didn't know about it. Well, you were given the time, you were given the opportunity to look into it, but you decide not to, and you follow the world. So you're responsible, correct? So that's why how they become responsible, that what they are given the opportunity. Are Muslim responsible? Yes, we will be also responsible. So we don't think that only the non-Muslim will be responsible. Muslim will be responsible that you were given Quran and Hadith. Did you understood it? Did you follow it? You were given time and everything. And you will be questioned. I raised you in a Muslim family, so you have a better outcome, correct? You could be raised in a non-Muslim family, correct? So you have a more things to do being raised there. So, so it's not just the non-Muslim, but the Muslim will be also accountable. So Abu Jahl will be looking at us that, hey, you got the Quran, but you are just doing what I did, correct? Decline it. Does it I answer your question? So everybody is responsible. Allah give you the opportunity. It's not like Allah has not given it. The people who are not given the opportunity are the people who have mental health illness, correct? Some people have mental retardation, intellectual deficiency, correct? Things like that. Then they are not responsible because Allah has not given the responsive understanding. If you are not understand, you are not responsible. But if you can understand, you have time, you have means, there's no way you can say, I'm not responsible. I have no ownership. I am not accountable. You are, like right now, I'm accountable what I'm saying on the day of judgment. Correct? That's what I said. And that's why I ask for forgiveness if I have said something wrong. I'm accountable. So I have to use my proper intellect to tell you, correct? So I'm also accountable. You are also accountable. Everybody is accountable. It doesn't matter you're Muslim or non-Muslim, correct? Did I answer your question?
Yes, I'm clear now. But lastly, I would like to know that without Quran and Hadith, as non-Muslims, let's suppose they have no reach to Quran and Hadith. And is there any possibility that they can reach the truth and at the day of judgment they will be successful on the basis of their contemplation, pondering, and their efforts to reach truth? So is there any way without Quran and Hadith from fitrat and from the instinct which we have?
Okay, so you ask a hypothetical question, correct? Correct? So without Quran and Hadith, everything points towards that. 2 plus 2 is 4. Now you say, I'm not going to answer that, but we know that 2 plus 2 is 4, right? So when you look at the outside, that's the way the system is, the nature is, and everything, it points towards that direction, correct? Then you decide, I'm not going to do that. Then it's you. Like you do all the good thing, and this is a good question. You do all the good thing in the world, correct? But you don't follow Islamic concept. Will you go to where you going to go? Allah will tell to you, I understand you did all the good thing, but did you follow me? Means you need to follow me and do good thing, correct? Just following good thing does not mean that you will go where you want to go. It's making your own rule, correct? I just do my good thing and I don't need to care about Allah, correct? You're
No,
disowning your Allah.
on the basis of a default system which Allah installed at the day of creation, and we are here with that instinct, the nature.
Yes, and the shaitan will tell you just do the good thing, but you don't need to follow Allah, correct? So you can join the means whatever will happen, correct? So it will help you in that way, and you need to understand from your logic that why Allah is telling you. So the more you follow Quran and Asira, you go in the right pathway. It will guide you to right pathway, correct? So hopefully I answer your
Thank
question.
you very much. Jazakallah khair.
Okay, please give your feedback in the feedback form in chat. And please, Naya, please unmute.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Walaikum salam.
See, my question is, you explained that Zamir is it's a combination of Al-Lawama and Nafs and Qalb-e Marida. So when we say Al-Lawama, it was making sense to me. But why Qalb-e Marida? It considered to be the part of the Zamir. If you can elaborate a little on this.
So the qalb is the mind, correct? Do you agree on that part?
Yani to some extent, yes.
Oh, we need to be very clear about it because if you're thinking from the heart, it's different meaning than if you're thinking from the brain is different, correct? Do you agree or disagree?
No, I don't say it is the heart, but then we have to say like what is exactly mind, and yani, your point is that qalb is mind. That's it, is it?
It points towards mind, but it does not point towards heart. Very simple.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's take this
Means
way. Yes.
Allah is the final authority. I am not the authority. But when you put all the facts together, it shows everything is going towards the mind or the brain, correct? You think in your mind. You have process in your mind, correct? Why do you sijda,
No, but to
correct?
say that mind is in the brain, that's my point. Yani, my problem is not that qalb points towards the mind, but to say that mind is only the brain, or
Yes,
in the brain.
yes.
Yani, we
It's not
cannot
in
say
the
that.
heart.
Okay.
So there's like if you say in Urdu, dil bagh bagh ho gaya, correct? It's a metaphor. There's
जी जी
no bagh in your dil, correct? There's
correct.
metaphor used in every language. The Arabic language is very rich. You cannot catch up. There's so many words for each thing, right? So you need to understand the metaphor, the context, and all those things, and when it was released, correct? The classical Arabic, which is Al-Fusha, correct? So from their point of view, you need to understand what Allah is trying to say, not the modern Arabic. If you go to Egypt and other place, people talk in Arabic, but they cannot understand Holy Quran at times because the modern Arabic is totally different than Holy Quran is.
Yeah, I get that. So if
So,
you define what is the qalb marida, like from the classical Arabic.
so Qalb Murida is somewhere in the middle, which is defining what is good and bad is in the middle, and it has good and the bad, correct? It's going towards, it's a guiding and depends on your akal and your ilm. If the akal and ilm is guiding the qalb, and you have Ru is guiding, and the Nafs is Nafs Mutmainna. If Nafs has a huge influence on your Qalb, correct? So then the Qalb Murida will go to Qalb Salim, correct? The the pious
Okay.
now, a pious cult, correct? You think impiously. You avoid all the bad thinking, correct? So that is what it is. So kalbe murida is somewhere in the middle, in between good and bad, correct? Just like nafse lawama is good and bad, correct? It's trying to figure out which is good, good and bad, and then go back what the intention is, correct? If you have a good faith, and good zamir and good knowledge and using akal, it will go towards nafse mutmainna. So the same thing goes with the qalb also. Qalb will go from qalbe murida to qalbe salim. But if your intention is
It's
bad,
not okay. जी जी.
so
It's
if you
not the word that says it's the illness, like marid, the meme, roya, and bod. Is it the some other word? Maybe that's where the misunderstanding comes.
so
Is it qalb
Allah has
marid, the
mentioned that you
vibe which
have
is
diseases in your qalb,
yeah,
correct? And
yes.
in fact, that's a good. I'm glad you brought it up. That was my next slide. I forgot about it. So, spiritual illness has two things, correct?
Mm.
In we are talking about this thing. You have spiritual illness, which affects your belief and
Yeah,
thinking, affects your brain, correct? And then you have symptoms and
yes.
you do all those things. Now, what is spiritual illness? You have illness in a disease, correct? What is illness? Arrogance, doubt, excuses, immorals, and corruption. These are all those things in illness. What is disease? You're constantly using it. You're resistant to remediation. Correct? So you have, but you're not changing. That is a disease form. That's why Allah said your qalb has been, it's black, it has been, all tarnished and all those things because they have a disease.
Yeah.
They cannot come out of it. They are
So is it like
completely.
always there is the qalb has some sort of illness? Like subhanallah, like
Yes,
when we say
we have
when we talk
illness.
about the nifaq, we say
Okay.
that like fi qulubihim marad in Quran. This says that in their hearts there is marad. So
Yes, we have illness. We are not mu'min, correct? There's a
okay,
Muslim and a mu'min difference, correct? Muslim will do wrong things. Means sometimes we lie, sometimes we backbite, correct? That illness,
see,
that can be corrected. But you constantly do all those illness, then it become a disease. Now you are purified, you actually cooked your thinking process in a way that's not coming back. It's
okay,
solidified that I belong to this world only. They are not going to come back. That's why Huzur Sassan was told when he used to cry that why don't you change their thinking? And Allah said, your job is to teach them, not to, but they are the one who have the disease. So don't worry about it. Correct? Your job is to teach them. But if they have illness, they will come out. Once they have a disease, they have solidified their illness to a disease form. They are stuck with it.
makes sense. Yeah, this makes sense. Tabarakallah. One more point, just Yani. So subhanallah, that means that the zamir also can be marid. It also has this that illness. If you're saying that qalb-e murida is the part of zamir,
Kalbe Murida is a part of Zamir, yes.
then zamir also has that sort of illness, which it may solidify, it may not, but there is
Yes,
that.
yes,
That
it does. And it get help from the akal or ilm, or from the non-Muslim, just the ilm. You need the Islamic shahada, so the akal works, correct? Allah
So
give
we cannot.
akal.
Please continue. Sorry.
So basically, non-Muslim will not have akal, correct? They will not get hidayat. They will not get hikmat. Non-Muslim will not get it until you accept Islam or go towards Islam, correct? If you go towards Allah will open the doors, correct? But a non-Muslim nobody will have hikmat, a non-Muslim, because they don't have
Yeah.
akal. Do you know what exact meaning of akal is? In
Yeah, the way you
Al-Fusra,
explained it, it was very, good. But before that, I was thinking like it's just the logic, because when we say, there is like a lot of discussion about akal and nakal, using the
correct.
logic and the revelation. So from that point of view, it's sort of equivocation, I would say, because akal is considered to be with different meanings for different.
Yes.
So,
So
but
you
I
have to
understood
look.
your point. Yeah.
So for audience, they need to understand from Al-Fussa. Akal means
Yeah.
a rope going towards the right direction. That's mean going towards Allah. The only way you can do akal when you have shahada. Going towards Allah, you have to accept shahada. Correct?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then when you
Yes.
have akal and ilm, Allah will give you hidayat. And with more hidayat, you will get hikmat. Correct? This is not to a non-Muslim. Non-Muslim have to accept Islam to get more input. So they have to move one step and Allah will open up more. Hopefully I answer your question.
You did, Tabarakallah. Just so we cannot rely only on our Zamir for the accountability thing which someone asked. Because
You have to work on yourself also.
okay.
Zamir is there, but Zamir also get input from everything, correct? Uh, you
Yeah.
know, uh, if you are all around this environment which thinks everything is okay, whatever you do, and you learn, so you have two type of things going on, correct? Is it ethical or moral, correct? They're more ethical, correct? By the system,
Mm-hmm.
by the external environment, correct? And that become the Zamir, correct? Although they have moral compass, but that has been minimized. And what is more is ethical. That is also Zamir, correct?
Okay, then there is this hadith that where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explains what is Sirat-e-Mustaqim, and in the explanation of it, I read that there is this. It's like a road, and you walk on it, and there are doors on the sides, and that doors are the hudud Allah, and it has curtains on it, and you are to be walking in straight on Sirat Mustaqim without getting distracted from here and there. And then there is one, if I can say it in Urdu, पुकारने वाला हर वक्त आपके हर मरहले पर आपको पुकारता है, and this is the zamir. That's how it was explained. So I was thinking that maybe on the zamir is something which can be trusted for the accountability thing. But anyhow, I got the concept. And just one clarification: is that being established that only the human beings have the ruh and not the animals?
That is one of the controversial question I prefer not to answer, correct? But yes, human
Okay.
have the rule. Does the non-human have the rule? Allah, wallahu alam, correct? I'm not going to go into
Oh,
that
wow.
controversy, correct?
It's okay. It's okay. Jazakallah khair, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Okay. Ali Khan, please unmute.
So I think my question got answered by in the process of you explaining what Sister asked earlier, but I just want to dish it out. So where do you place the whole idea of performing? Because we see that people with all the right knowledge still do not perform as opposed to the people who don't have all this knowledge and knuckle, yet they perform. So how do you place the performance? By that I mean the
Performance.
action. Yes.
So performance based on your what is given by Allah or performance on the worldly basis of, what performance are we talking about?
Yes, on the worldly basis. I mean, if I put it on a broader perspective, so we see people who are striving in the way of, like Taghut, for example. And
Mhm.
then compared to that, the people who are striving in the way of Deen is much less. And if people of Deen are supposed to have the Aql, and even if they are somewhere in between Al-Lawama and Al-Mutmainna, they still have the right idea and the right concepts, but they're not performing the way they're supposed to.
Okay, so that's a good question. I'm glad you asked this question. So the question of performance is based on is the wealth? Are you thinking in that direction, or are you looking in the direction of akhirah? Correct? Dunya and akhirah. Correct? This world and next world. Correct? So, that's very important to understand. So somebody who's non-Muslim has a lot of knowledge may earn a lot of money, live very healthy life or whatever, correct? And they feel this is the performance, correct? And they look really good. Then there's a Muslim who follows the Islamic faith but does not earn that much money, live very mediocre or less than that. That's another performance, correct? So which is a better performance? That's the first question to ask. From the Islamic prospect, Islamic prospect is what you following the Islamic ways, correct? It's not deen, but dunya is also important. Means you have not this world, the next world, correct? Like take the example Abu Zar Ghafari, take the example Huzur Sassam, take the example of Sahabas. They have everything. But if you look at their lifestyle and all those things, Huzusam used to eat after 3 days or 4 days, correct? Whenever he get chance, he used to. He gives his food to other people. Hazrat Bilal Habshi used to save the dates because he gives up the dates, correct? Means a regular meal was not available every day. So you call that a poor performance? No, that's the best performance. Hazrat Umar used to cry when he saw Huzur Sallam lying on the date leaves and he is marking on the back, correct? And he told that the empire of the Rome are living lavishly, and here you are the prophet of the whole, and look at you doing, correct? So performance based on what thinking you are doing. You need to understand that. If you are worldly based, then Allah, that's your performance, right? But your performance should be what based on Allah. Means my Lord is Allah, correct? What He wants, this is my performance. Not what any government says or any leader says that how much you earn, you will get high promotion based on your, that is different performance, correct? So based on what you're thinking, correct? Hopefully I answer your question.
Yes, you did. So how do we like if it's based on thinking? Um, so I want to understand like where is this thinking then coming from? Because if the knowledge is there, then what exactly is thinking, which is not empowering him to perform or like to act?
Okay. So I actually went through that slide before. This one, correct? You have knowledge, correct? You got knowledge from Quran, correct? But you
Hmm.
never understood it properly, correct? You have to understand it properly. Did you apply it? No, I didn't apply it completely or halfway. Did you reason it? If you're not reasoning it in your life, your judgment data is poor. You have biases, you have fallacies, your abstraction problem or rationalization problem. So your critical thinking will be different, correct? So your critical think, if you have cognitive dissonance, that means your belief, your behavior, and your education does not rhymes together. You have cognitive dissonance, correct? So when you have that, you have a problem. So to understand that, this is very important to understand that you need to do all those things. And everybody is working on that process. So you need to understand, apply, reason it out, and have a better thinking, correct? And everybody is struggling it, but Allah will help you, correct? So this is very important concept to understand this. And then on this one, when you accept Islam, you have to use knowledge to learn it and use akal, you know. And when you use akal, the ruh will help you to help your qalb, which is qalb, whichever state it is, to come to murida or qalb salim. And your nafs, whichever state they are, you want make the qalb really strong. If your qalb is strong, the nafs have less effect on it, and then qalb will go stronger and stronger and go to qalb salim. You have to remove ego conflicts. You have to remove biases, fallacies, cognitive dissonance, correct? When you do all those things, your qalb will become stronger. Your qalb is salim. Nafs will not affect if it's from a nafs ammara, correct? And your qalb will guide the nafs to go to nafs mutmainna. Hopefully I answer your question, provided
Yes.
you get hidayat and hikmat. Hidayat comes when you're using akal and ilm, correct? When you have taken shahadat, you're working hard, Allah will give you hidayat, correct? Allah opened the hidayat for you. The more hidayat you take, Allah will give you hikmat, and you go
Got
higher
it.
and higher, correct? Non-Muslims, they use knowledge, but Allah will not give hidayat because they are not striving for it. Because Newton made all the theories, correct? Did Allah give him hidayah? I don't know, correct? He has tons of knowledge, and you can go through all those other people. They have tons of knowledge. You have Einstein, you have all those people. They have tons of knowledge, but were they able to get hidayah? I don't see it. So just having knowledge is not good enough. You have to have akal. Akal comes when you strive towards Allah. Then Allah give you akal. Allah use the akal with the knowledge and give you hidayat. And more hidayat you get, the more qalb will go to qalb is salim. When your qalb is salim or strong, the nafs of amara, if you have, it will no affect, and nafs will go to nafs mutmainna. Does it make sense to you?
Yes, it does. And I think one of the key ingredients here is what the point you discussed earlier about the disease and illness. Because even after having all this, that disease will, or sorry, rather the illness will always come in that person's way. Is that right to say?
Yeah, it will solidify. The illness will
Mm.
solidify into a form of disease. When they become disease, they are irreversible, correct? So you want means if Allah wants, they will go back to illness, correct? But they have put like Abu Jahl. He has a disease, correct? He's not even the angel of death. Angel of death came. He was still not accepting Islam, correct? Correct? So
Mm.
these people are not going to, like Pharaoh didn't accept Islam, correct? They have disease. They are not going to come. That's why Huzus was told, these people who have disease, you just teach them. It's not your job to convert their disease, correct? Allah will change. If they have intention, Allah will do. If they don't have intention, Allah will give more time, more money, more things. You can spend it. So on the day of judgment, Allah will tell you, I gave you more time. I gave you more opportunity to learn about it. But you didn't. So don't complain to me that you were not given opportunity. Right? Hopefully I make the sense, make the point clear to you.
Yes, yes, brother. Jazakallah khair.
Yes, thank you very much for everybody to come in and participate. Wallahu alam, Allah knows the best. I did the best I can do, and we need to work hard on learning about Quran and Sirah. And I did the best I can, and Allah accept what I did and forgive me if I have some shortcoming, and we'll go from there. And thank you for coming and participating.
Uh,
Jazakallah.
Thank you, Dr. Najib. It was a very informative session. We wish to see you soon, inshallah, for the next session as well. Have a good day. Thank you very much, everybody, for
Sure.
joining in.
Jazakallah.
It was a pleasure having you.
Same over here too.